Welcome, fellow Earthlings, to one of the few channels on YouTube that takes Christianity and the Bible and exposes it for what it really is, which is mostly bullshit. My name is Rogan, and you're watching The Mysterious Stoner in a Bowler. If you're joining us for the first time, I am an ex-Christian. Was very deep into the whole religion and everything. I was raised a missionary kid, went to a lot of places, was homeschooled for pretty much my entire youth, and my entire story is all in my other videos that you can go watch anytime you like. But here, in these episodes, we go through the Bible, and I share with you the bullshit and any truth that we come across. For this video, we are talking about matchmaking. So the great patriarch of Israel, Abraham, or as I prefer to think of him as Abram the Scammer, he's dying, okay? He's, his last thing he did was pretty much buying some land to bury his wife, and just before that, he was listening to voices in his head telling him to go kill his son, or, to sacrifice him to God, the first human sacrifice. But you can read about my theory, or you can hear about my theories in that previous video on Abraham and Isaac. But now Isaac is older. He's not a teen or a kid or however old he was in that other story. He's an adult. He's old enough to get married, which honestly could have been 13 for all we know with the way they did it back then. But he's probably a full-grown adult. Abraham's on his deathbed, and he talks to one of his servants. Poor guy doesn't even get a name. He's just his eldest servant. His eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had. He doesn't get a fucking name. Like, okay, I guess he's not special. Even though this story is almost as much about him as it is what he's supposed to be doing. But Abraham makes him swear an oath. And he says, "And I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. But thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac." So he is telling his servant, I want you to go get a wife for my son. But don't get one of the local girls. Don't get one of the Canaanites. He doesn't say why. I don't know why. I don't know what his problem is with the local girls. He might be a little racist. But for some reason, he has a very keen interest on keeping things in the family. See, his wife, Sarah, is actually his half-sister. I think it was the same father but different mother. Yeah, same father, different mother. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But so you've got that going on, and he wants his servant to go get what will most likely be one of Isaac's cousins, or maybe a cousin once removed or something like that, to bring back and marry Isaac. He doesn't say to take Isaac with him and let Isaac pick one out. He just says, go do it. Don't pick any of these. You go to where my family lives, back in whatever Bumville they're from. I don't know. You travel all the way back there, and you get one of the hot young relatives to come marry my son. So, servant number 1 of Abram's house, he takes 10 camels with him and some jewelry and expensive shit, and takes this little caravan, has some servants and other stuff, and he goes out on this journey, gets to the land of wherever his master's family is. Gets there, he's thirsty, his camels are thirsty, and apparently it's the time of day when women are leaving the local city or village or town or whatever. They are all coming out to go get water from the well to take home. There's a trough there for camels, I guess. Something that the camels can drink out of, but servant's been riding all day. Him and his crew, they're tired, but they're all thirsty, and so, but the servant also has a job, and this is the time when all the women are coming out. And I don't know why he didn't start asking around, like, hey, are you related to so-and-so, to my master Abraham? No, he didn't do that. He just starts off, he decides to pray to God, and he asks God, this is kind of interesting what he asks. He says, let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be she that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac, and thereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master. So he wants to ask this woman for a drink of water from her pitcher, and then this woman is supposed to voluntarily offer not only to give him a drink, but also to give water to the camels. Now, in case you didn't know, camels drink a fuck ton of water. That's what makes them so valuable in the desert, because they can go for a very long time without needing water. But once they're parched, they're parched. And they got big water tanks in their big ass backs. Pretty crazy. But yeah, that's how they are. They drink a shit ton of water. So, and there's 10 of them. So I don't know why a woman would randomly decide to voluntarily do this for a complete stranger. It doesn't seem like something a woman would do these days. Although women were a lot more repressed back then, and there was a lot more sexism and inequality going on than today. Like, way more. Like, the Bible is rife with sexism and inequality. And what the Christian children are supposed to learn from this is that we need to be like this woman who is a voluntary servant to other people. It's not a terribly bad lesson to learn from a Christian standpoint, but logically speaking, all that water, that's a lot of trips to the well, back and forth. And, I mean, who knows what's going on at home? Like, I don't know, it seems like an inconvenient thing to ask of someone, but like they really want someone who's going to be a servant and a lapdog all at the same time. Is what it sounds like to me. That's what the servant is asking for. I mean, yeah, you want a good wife and all. If when you're getting married, you want someone who works hard because a good work ethic is important. I will say that work ethic is important whether you're man or woman. But this is a bit overkill to show that much kindness to a complete stranger. I would not do this for a complete stranger if it was me. Like, sorry, bro, that's a lot of water, and I got shit to do. Like, you're a fellow human being. I will give you water. That makes perfect sense. Your camels, I gave you water so that you would go take care of your own camels. Gotta have some fucking responsibility here. I'm not gonna offer to water all 10 of your damn camels. Fuck that. And I don't. I mean, I wouldn't make a woman do that either. That's manual labor shit right there. That's some heavy lifting. I don't know, although, I mean, women may have been a lot physically stronger back then. They may have needed to be able to survive. So, maybe that was a very normal thing for women, is to lug water pitchers around. That would make sense, I suppose. But to quench the thirst of 10 camels for a complete stranger? No. No. Doesn't make sense to me. And I don't know why it would make sense back then. But, as it turned out, the very first woman that the servant ran into is this girl named Rebecca. And she does it. She does the whole 9 yards. He asks for water. She gives it to him. And then she offers to... I keep wanting to say feed the camels, but I know that's not right. I can't think of the proper word. I'm gonna go back to quench their thirst. She offered to quench the thirst of all 10 of his freaking camels. Maybe she thought he was hot. Maybe she wanted to get with him. Maybe she was trying to impress him. Like, I mean, 10 camels is a lot for back then. Like, livestock was money back then. And, I mean, camels are no joke. Clearly, you are someone of decent wealth if you had 10 camels loaded with stuff, which he totally did. So the servant does his job. He introduces himself properly to Rebecca. He gives her the stuff for, like, what's the word? Not alimony. That's for after the marriage has ended. Dowry. I think that's what this is. The dowry. Like, he gives money to. Well, he gives her some jewelry and stuff, and he gives some stuff to her parents, her relatives. He tells them why he's there. And it's actually kind of funny. Because he says, "And the Lord hath blessed my master greatly, and he has become great. And he hath given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and menservants and maidservants and camels and asses." Donkeys. Yeah, in case you haven't seen a couple of the previous episodes, God did not give Abraham all of the stuff he had. Abraham actually scammed 2 kings out of a good bit of stuff. Like, he got significantly wealthier from scamming 2 kings. Literally, he lied to them. They gave him a bunch of stuff, and God had no problem with it. Abraham was never punished. And God is supposed to be a just and fair God. Anyways, servant's doing a bit of dick sucking on his master's part. And then he goes on to tell her and her family about how he prayed to God for this specific request, for what he wanted, and that Rebecca was the one to do it, and that it must be her that God wants him to take back to marry Isaac. This is a really weird way to arrange a marriage. So he asks Laban, who is, I believe it's Rebecca's dad. He asks him, so what do you think? Will you let her go? Will you let her come marry my master's servant? Rebecca's yet to be asked. And Laban, he answers and says, the thing proceedeth from the Lord. We cannot speak unto thee bad or good. Behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go. Let her be thy master's son's wife, as the Lord hath spoken. So they bought it. Okay. Like, seriously, if some random dude, rich guy, shows up and did this for, like, your daughter, was trying to get your daughter in an arranged marriage, would you be cool with this? Like, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be cool with it. Like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't know the kid. I don't know the dad. And there's no promise of, like, business alliance agreements or whatever. There's, like, yeah, they get a few free things, but, like, they don't really know these people. The servant just praised his master, said how rich he was, and they let her go without even asking her. They just straight up says, well, here she is, take her and go, as the Lord says. Like, well, I mean, God hasn't really said anything, but okay. And so the servant brings out a bunch of stuff, jewels of silver and jewels of gold, raiment, gave them to Rebecca, also gave to her brother. Oh yeah, Laban. Laban is her brother, not her dad. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. And they decide to party, they eat, they drink, and servant spends the night and everything. And then the next day, the servant's like, okay, time to go. And the brother and mother were like, whoa, hold on. Let the damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10. After that, she shall go. Like, come on, is that really, like, that's not much to ask for, right? Like, you're taking the daughter, sister away permanently to go marry this dude. You got to travel a ways to get there. You just showed up yesterday. Give us some time to hang out before we leave, right? Right. Makes sense, right? Who knows if or when they'll ever see each other again. Maybe never. Big world. And it was a lot more dangerous and harder to communicate with each other back then. Give us 10 days. But, the servant said, hinder me not, seeing the Lord hath prospered my way. Send me away, that I may go to my master. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. So now they're asking Rebecca's opinion on the matter. And this isn't even regarding whether or not she is to go, period, because apparently she is going. That was already decided. Laban and Bethuel, I guess that other brother, they said, "Ah, dude, go for it. Take her." What, were they sick of her? Um, maybe Rebecca was sick of them and itching to get out of the house. But they decided to they decided, well, let's ask Rebecca if she wants to leave right now or in, in 10 days or, after a few days of staying a bit longer. And they called Rebecca and said unto her, "Wilt thou go with this man?" And she said, "I will go." Like, why is this now? Like, what? After they've already said, take her and go, and then they party and drink, that they decide, and then it's the next day, and they're talking about whether or not she can stay a few more days before they decide to leave. And now they're asking her, "Will you go with this man?" And she says, "I will go." I don't know what the fuck is going on in this family. I don't know why they would be so cool with this. This is a weird arranged marriage. Like, this doesn't even make any sense. There's nothing long lasting going on here other than the fact that sister/daughter is gone. You got some money and stuff from it, but that's it. She's going off to get married to some rich dude who's inheriting it all from his very, 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 very old, almost dead father, who was a scammer for a living. And very good possibility that Isaac was a scammer too. And yeah, that is pretty much it. They leave, they go back, they find Isaac and Abraham and all of them, and it doesn't even say they were married. It just says, "And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent," she was dead, "and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her." Oh yeah, and this is interesting that they just happened to throw in here. "And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death." Like, it's not a separate verse. It's all that was all one verse right there. Like, him having a wife, I guess someone to love and fall in love with somehow, or maybe to fuck. Maybe, like, it makes it sound like that is what brought him comfort. Like, you couldn't get over that without another woman in your life. Like, dude, like, why would you even admit to that? I mean, he was pretty much an only child, and his mom was super old when she had him. I mean, he was apparently a miracle baby to be born from an old man and an old woman, more so the old woman aspect. But yeah, his mom was super old. She died, and apparently he was grieving this whole time. She's been buried. Like, she's been buried. And then the servant was sent to go find Isaac a wife. So I guess he was grieving this whole time. I don't know. Maybe him and his mom were close. That would be nice. I certainly wouldn't blame him, considering how his dad nearly killed him on an altar. I wouldn't be very close to my dad if he did that to me. Yeah, I probably wouldn't. I'd be a lot closer to my mother, if that were the case. But yeah, it's just kind of, well, I don't know. It's just strange that they threw that in there. Our Bible's full of weird little shit like that. But yeah, and it doesn't say that Rebecca loved Isaac back. Just that he loved her. Yeah. Interesting what the Bible chooses to mention and what it chooses not to. Almost, it makes you wonder if someone like really edited the fuck out of this book. Oh, it has been edited many, many times. You can Google it. It was edited before it made it into English. It was edited afterwards. And now there's versions out there that claim to be more accurate than the King James Version. Like they're versions based off of the more accurate texts. So there are things in the Bible that are completely different from the King James Version that are supposedly the more accurate one. It's messed up, man. It's messed up. But we use the King James Bible here. You know why? Because it's what I was raised on. Man, is it a fucked up book. So, arranged marriages. Not a fan. Not a fan. I mean, if you've ever seen movies with it in it, I'm sure you instantly decided you didn't like it either. Like, you got to be pretty lucky to not only, like, okay, let's say you're getting an arranged marriage. Like, you're one of the ones being matched, and you don't have a choice in the matter. Not only had you better pray that your partner isn't ugly, you better pray they're nice, and that they're not potentially psychopathic. Because you never know with people. Like, you don't know anything. You don't know if their family has a history of mental illness, like quite possibly Abraham may have had. You don't know anything about this family. This is just for an alliance. Or because their God, well, no, I can't, you know what? I can't even say that in this case. In some religions, sure, there might be God-ordained matches made. But in this story, in this particular story, there is no mention of God telling Abraham to get Isaac a wife. Period. He doesn't tell him that. He doesn't tell him where to get a wife from. He doesn't say, hey, if you happen to get a wife for Isaac, don't get him any Canaanites. No, not even that. Like, this was all Abraham's idea. There's no mention of Isaac being asked about it. There's no mention of Abraham asking God where he should get a wife for his son from. In fact, the only person that prays to God is the servant of Abraham. So yeah, that was the first arranged marriage in the Bible. There's going to be more, and the stories are only going to escalate. In fact, there's one coming up. I'm not sure which episode it's going to be in, but it's coming up pretty soon. That is going to be wild. One of the great patriarchs of Christianity, of the Bible, ends up with 2 wives. Oh yeah, there's polygamy in the Bible. All about men getting that pussy. That's what this book's about. So if you have enjoyed this video, I hope you'll leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, share my video, leave any questions or comments down below. Would love to hear back from you. Until next time, my friends, stay safe and farewell.